My name is Thomas Potter. I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And the classes we're running today is weapons handling and tactical movement for film and theater, mostly for film. I am an ex-soldier, stuntman, classically trained actor, and also employed as a military advisor and tactical trainer. Today what we're doing is we're taking the groups and we're teaching individuals how to hold a rifle properly, how to move with it, and how to actually approach a doorway to breach into a room and how to clear it. And you know, basically it's trying to jam what is a 30-hour course in a couple hours. So it's sort of a matter of just getting them the rudimentary pieces. A lot of times what happens is independent filmmakers especially will pull favors and they will get tactical gear. They'll get costumes, a uniform, they'll get all the stuff, and they'll have an idea of what it's supposed to look like. But, you know, I've discovered that 8-9 times out of 10, they don't have the people that have any training on how to do this well or at all. And the problem with that for me is that in the last 20 years, we now have, in our Western societies, we now have 10 million plus Dick and Janes who have spent a considerable amount of time under arms. And to me, it feels kind of disingenuous to try to throw something out there that is tactically so incredibly wrong. And I do understand from an artistic point of view that you can't always do it right for camera because it doesn't read well. So you have to have a compromise to make both of those things work. And a lot of times what makes it workable is having performers that know how to use the tools, so that when they pick up a weapon or they've got their weapon at the low ready and they're moving they're moving down along a building and they're going to stack up at a doorway, they actually look like they've done this before 1,000 times, and it's what they do, it's how they live. There's a problem a lot of times when you see stuff where you'll watch a show and you'll see 6 people coming through a door and entering into a building, and they'll put the hero as the first person going through the door. Well, why would you put the person you don't want to die as the first person getting in the path of the bullets? He's never there. It just doesn't work like that. So little things like that will make people like me just a little crazy when I'm watching it. When you see people coming through and you can tell if there's 6 people again entering and moving down a hallway and there's one guy that you can tell is not carrying the weapons properly, is awkward, looks like he's uncomfortable, well, he probably is because he's probably never done this before. So a little bit of training and time for certain bigger productions is easy for them to pull up. But for the independents, they need to try to find the people that have even a basis of training in order to do this. A lot of times you can tell just by looking at them and seeing the way they're dressed, the way they've got their battle rattle tightened down, you know, so stuff doesn't move around. You know, little things when you're watching movies, when you see a guy gets out and they know it's a hostile situation and they get all the way up to the door and the guy puts a round in the shotgun. There's already a round in that shotgun. I'm sorry, there's already a round in that shotgun. If they're going in hot, everybody's loaded, it's safety's off, and away we go. I fight because when I was a kid, my dad's ex-prize fighter, so I learned how to fight. I learned how to box, and then I learned hardstyle Shotokan, and then when I was in the military, I was part of an unarmed combat team as a team leader, and we did Defendo. And then from there I did, with the French Army Commandos, I did Savat. And I really have discovered over the years that I like finding new things, and I like seeing stuff that works, and I like reading the histories of different things and saying, well, you know, that worked in the 1400s, I don't see why it can't work now, and trying it and seeing how you can create things out of it, especially with theater and film. If there's a piece of action in a film or violence in a script for a theater, it's there for a reason. It's part of telling the story. It's part of how your characters are motivated from point A to point B. And if you don't actually know how to do these things, it's going to be hard for you to try to teach them or direct them as their characters on how to fight, right? Most people in Western cultures never get in a fist fight past grade 5. There are so many of my students that I've asked over the years, and that seems to be the number. So then sometimes when you watch stuff on TV, that's what you see, is you see somebody who has never been a fighter ever. Yeah, so that's why I continue to fight and to train and to try to learn new stuff. If you come to CombatCon and you actually look at the people that are here, you can just, and I did it one year where besides teaching, I was taking as many classes as I could. And I think on the Saturday, I was at the first class, and the last thing I did was somewhere like 9 o'clock. I think, no, it was 8 o'clock. It was right before the ball started. And it was good. It was fantastic. 2 people back in Vancouver who couldn't make CombatCon because of their work things, and they train at Blood and Iron with me, but they are also writers. And they both wanted to come here, not necessarily for all the combat classes, but they really, really wanted to come for the writing, all the writing tracks and all that good stuff. You can gain so much information and knowledge, whether it's about how, just from having listened to one of the writer classes 2 years ago, I picked up an awful lot of stuff on structure. I think you read a book and you understand it, but when you understand how the book is written through structure, then it's like, oh, okay, this makes it even more interesting, right? If you want to learn how and you want to train, and really, really be focused on your training. That's what you need to do. And if you're up in Vancouver, Blood and Iron Martial Arts. That's where you'll find us. Thank you.